Welcome to another episode of 3 the Hard Way. You guys know how we do it each and every Sunday. I am Lionel Jones, and let me introduce my fellas, because without my fellas, we could not get this show off the ground. Bone Crusher used to always say, I ain't never scared. And the influencer, Mr. Coach Rodney Young, is never scared to tell it like it is. What's up, Hot Rod?
What is going on, my fellas? 3 the Hard Way Nation, TikTok 3 the Hard Way Nation. This is your friendly neighborhood coach, and remember, I don't have no problem with the smoke. You may not like what I'm saying, but you will listen.
And everybody get up and stand at attention for the captain of our ship, Mr. Terrence Austin. T, how you feeling, man?
I'm doing great. What's happening, fellas, and what's happening, everyone out there in the radio airwaves of 3 the Hard Way Nation? What's happening? Buckle up and get ready. Let's go. Let's make this thing happen.
Well, here we go, fellas. Let's dive into it. Hey, this is like Christmas time for me. You guys know training camp, NFL, even though I'm a basketball guy, NFL is one of my favorite things to watch. We got training camp ramping up. There are some interesting battles all over the place in various training camps. But I think we got to start with our Cleveland Browns. You know, update with the Cleveland Browns. I think there's a lot of focus in the national media about this quarterback battle, who's going to get traded, who's going to be, quarterback number 2, who's going to start. So I guess we have to start there. News came out of Cleveland Browns training camp that Shedeur Sanders came back with a strong day 4 performance. I saw some stats. I know we don't put a lot of stock in the stats, but it also kind of tells you, where he is and how he's producing in training camp. And it looks like to me he had a strong day 4. How far that carries him into training camp, I don't know. I think it's safe to say that Joe Flacco is probably the number 1 guy right now. No one's going to say it. I've heard some names bounce around, but I would think it's probably Joe Flacco. Shedeur Sanders, his performance. Are you guys pleased with where he is and on the track where he's ascending into this quarterback situation?
I am, especially with him being, a 5th round pick. I'm very satisfied with where he is, okay? One day you hear this, one day you hear that. Earlier in the week they were talking about, Joe Flacco getting traded to your Vikings and being your guy's backup, okay? Which would minimize the room. And then that would leave Shedeur, the kid from Oregon, and then, Kenny Pickett, and then, Deshaun Watson is still rehabbing, okay? And then the next day you hear, no, we're not going to get rid of Flacco. He's going to be around. So every day is something different, okay? What I'm liking is that so far, no injuries, okay? Because there was a couple of teams that took some hits last week. The Broncos, took a hit with one of their key defensive men.
Jets.
And then, the Jets took a hit, So for right now, with everybody remaining healthy, I'm good. You all have heard me say, again, I have no expectations out of our Browns this year. I have no expectations. However, and with that being said, I want the best quarterback under center once the season kicks off. And I want Shedeur part of that roster, going forward. So it's just wait and see. But for right now, with everybody remaining healthy, that's what's up. And that's what I'm thankful for so far going forward. Yep. Go ahead, Rod.
So for me, I'm looking at this quarterback battle. Shedeur put his best foot forward, and I'm happy for the young man.
Yeah, he did.
That when he had the opportunity, he put his best foot forward. He is showing that he is not your typical 5th round pick. He is an elite quarterback. All right, and as much as the media in Cleveland is kind of trying to poo-poo it, they can't deny the ability that Shedeur Sanders has. But do not be surprised, because I'm really starting to see how this quarterback battle is panning out. So you have Joe Flacco going against Kenny Pickett, and you have Dillon Gabriel going against Shedeur Sanders. 2 of those quarterbacks will not be there, okay? They won't be there, okay? So if and keep coming, welcome in TikTok people. If Kenny Pickett beats out Joe Flacco, Flacco's out. if Shedeur Sanders beats out Dillon Gabriel, they're going to figure out something to get rid of Dillon Gabriel. Okay. Now, right now, from what I'm hearing coming out the gate, it's Kenny Pickett. Okay. I know we want Joe Flacco. I do. But for some reason, Kevin Stefanski loves Kenny Pickett. He loves Dillon Gabriel. So the key is, can Shedeur Sanders keep his foot on the gas, okay? And can Joe Flacco be the veteran that the Browns need? Now, at the end of the day, it's going to be those guys in the locker room. They want Joe Flacco. That's who they want. They're not sold on Kenny Pickett. Shedeur Sanders has cemented himself in that locker room. Case in point. After the practice yesterday, reporters were talking to Jerome Baker, who's a linebacker, former Ohio State Buckeye, coming back home. When they saw Shedeur come off the field, everybody ran towards Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur stopped them and said, you guys need to finish talking to Mr. Baker. Y'all don't worry about me. I'll be here. But don't be disrespectful to him and come over here and talk to me. Go finish talking with him. Right. And then I'll give you guys time. He has bought in. He understands marketing. He understands the buy-in. And that's what he has done. The Browns have a conundrum because they got to figure out what they're going to do with this kid. They can't cut him. They won't release him. Because if they do, then that stadium in Brook Park that they're going to build in a couple of years
will be empty.
Will be empty. It will be completely empty because the fans will revolt. Okay, so I'm glad that everybody is healthy. I'm hoping that this Quinshon Judkins thing gets over sometime soon. And then we can get going. We know the league will probably suspend Quinshon Judkins for a few games. And so he probably won't be there for the start of the season, but we need to get that running back room together. But to answer the question, absolutely. I'm glad that everybody's healthy. I'll piggyback off of T. I'm glad everybody's healthy, but I want to see Shedeur put that foot forward.
Yeah. One of the things that I've learned over the years, man, in working in some professional organizations and then looking from afar is that you would think everything will be done by merit. You would think everything would be decided in terms of X's and O's and even financial things like the salary cap. But I'm going to tell you right now, in some of these organizations and franchise, they prioritize PR very heavily. And so when I look at a case like Joe Flacco, there may be a situation where Shedeur performs a little bit better. So now there's a little bit more pressure on Joe Flacco, or it could be a Kenny Pickett or something like that. I'm going to throw this at you guys. Joe Flacco was essentially brought back because it was stated, or there was a narrative out there, that the Cleveland Browns made a mistake in letting him go.
Which they did. Did.
So now to mend that fence, they bring him back. How hard? See, I think it's going to be hard for the Cleveland Browns now, unless Joe Flacco just stinks it up. I think it's going to be hard for them to trade him. I think it's going to be hard for them to release him because essentially they've already said to the Browns fans, hey, a couple years ago, we should have kept him. And now he's back in a quarterback battle full of an unproven veteran and two rookie quarterbacks. So do you honestly see a situation where they would get rid of Joe Flacco other than he just stinks it up?
I don't think so. I think he has to be there to stay, okay? Again, they should have never gotten rid of him in the first place. They were concerned about Deshaun Watson's feelings. Hey, the minute he messes up on the field, the fans will be crying, put Flacco in, put Flacco in, put Flacco in. So they didn't want that. So, hey, they let him go. And then, once again, Deshaun Watson did not measure up, okay? So, yeah, they brought Flacco back. So I think you got to keep him. You got to keep him. And I feel you have to keep him because you have such minimal, how would I put it, experience in the quarterback room, with, Pickett and, Shedeur and the young guy from, Oregon. So, again, you need to keep that adult around. Although he's made it clear, hey, I ain't here to mentor these guys. I'm here to throw the football, too. But you can't get rid of them. You got to keep them around.
But do you feel like you got to play him? That's the thing, too. Do you feel like you got to play him?
I hope not if he's not playing good. If he's not playing good, you don't play him. Yeah, you don't. You don't. The fans want him there. We love him. We want him there. But if he's not playing good, no. Because, again, we don't, if we don't have to, we don't want to lose game after game after game after game. But, yeah, just keep him there. Keep him there.
So I'm gonna because one of our TikTok fans came on. Jakari says he doesn't believe that Joe Flacco is going to stink up the joint because he knows the offense. He's been in the offense before. He's more adept. So appreciate that there, kid. But so to answer the question, for me is it's the Browns, guys. It's the Cleveland Browns. So we can sit here and think extremely logical that, Joe Flacco is the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns because he had the most success in the Kevin Stefanski offense. David Njoku had a career year. Amari Cooper, when he was here, had a career year. Okay, so that would make sense. But we're talking about the Cleveland Browns. Okay. What have they done?
What does that mean, Rod? What does that mean?
Tell us what that means, Rod.
What have they done in the last 5 years that made any kind of sense?
Yeah,
I'll
don't
wait.
need to remind us.
Okay? I know we're Browns fans, but let's be realistic. Okay? What have they done that made sense? All right? They went, even this year, let's think about it. They went and got Kenny Pickett and then pulled Joe Flacco. They drafted Dillon Gabriel. And then in the 5th round, when it got Shedeur Sanders, tell me where that made sense. That didn't make any sense. You drafted 2 quarterbacks. You wasted one of those 2 quarterbacks is a wasted draft pick. Okay? So now you brought it back in Joe Flacco because, yes, T, you're right. Joe Flacco was brought back in to appease the Browns fans because everybody was clamoring for Flacco. Flacco should have never left Cleveland. But they were clamoring for him because you had Deshaun Watson and they wanted to save Deshaun Watson's psyche. You went and got Kenny Pickett, who, by the way, was released by Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay? So what does that tell you about Kenny Pickett? Yeah, he spent some time in Philadelphia, got him a Super Bowl sitting on the bench. But I really think right now, unless Joe Flacco, like you said, just completely just is inept and throwing interceptions. But I really believe that Kevin Stefanski wants Kenny Pickett. He wants him. He thinks Kenny Pickett's the fit in this offense. But I think Joe Flacco is going to take over. Okay? I really do. I think Joe Flacco is going to take over. But one of those 2 veteran quarterbacks won't be here. One of them. Okay?
Yeah, please forgive me, Rod. What was the name of the person that submitted that comment?
Jakari.
Yeah, I agree with Jakari. I don't think Joe Flacco is going to be bad, and he does know the offense. My only hesitation is that Father Time is undefeated. And we saw a glimpse of Joe Flacco with the Colts last year that wasn't a great Joe Flacco.
Wasn't that good, yeah.
Now, if that's the Joe Flacco that comes into the Browns, I think that we may have a little issue. I think they may have to look elsewhere within that quarterback room, but we don't know that. Maybe that was just bad coaching from the Colts. Maybe the system didn't fit Joe. So we will see. But, man, Father Time is undefeated, and it's my only concern with Joe Flacco. At some point in time, that's going to hit Joe. Joe's been playing for a long time, brothers.
Yes.
He's been playing for a long time. So sooner or later, that's going to catch up with him. What's surprising me, guys, is that, and I'm guilty of this too, it's almost surprising and shocking when I hear his name because I completely forget about him, and that's Deshaun Watson. When you look at the quarterback battle, you hear the guys that are healthy, but then every now and then you hear, well, Deshaun Watson is rehabbing. It's like, what am I missing? Because in my mind, I'm like, he'll never put on a Cleveland Browns uniform again. Am I way off base with that? Like, is there, even if there's a 1% chance that he can play for the Browns again, Hot Rod, do either one of you guys see that?
Have you all seen him? Have you seen any pictures of him? What they were talking about his wedding a few weeks ago and how the owner was there. I didn't see any visuals. I mean, is he, walking around in crutches? Is he, I don't know what he looks like. Right now in training camp, where is he? Is he, in the locker room? I don't know. I have no clue. I don't expect him to put on a uniform again. The fans don't want to see him. Again, when I think of Deshaun Watson, I think of the second half against the Ravens where he went 10 for 10. That's the best he's shown us. I don't think we'll ever even come close to that ever again. Again, kind of like I have no expectations, of my team that I've been rooting for since the '70s. I have no expectations out of Deshaun Watson. So he's just kind of like a figment of my imagination. Again, what do you say, Rod?
So for me is this. I'm going to make the same statement again. This is the Cleveland Browns, okay? I love my Browns, but they are the Cleveland Browns. So they owe Deshaun Watson a little bit over $90 million, okay? He is in the quarterback room. It's been stated. He's in the quarterback room. He's in the weight room. He's moving around with these guys. He's out of his boot, so he is moving around. He is mobile.
He's standing on 10
He's
toes.
standing on
down.
10 toes, okay? So he's doing it, all right? Now, there is a 1% chance that Deshaun Watson could be under center. It is possible because they can't get rid of him. Now he's gonna have an examination. They may put him on a PUP list, the physically unable to perform, which means he would be out.
I thought he was already there. I thought he was already on the PUP list.
But they got to come back and reevaluate, and so they're gonna see if he can go. Okay. Now there is a scenario that if Joe Flacco stinks, if Kenny Pickett stinks, if Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders are not ready, they'll tap the bullpen. They'll go into the bullpen, guys, and they'll put him out there, okay? This is the Cleveland Browns, all right? So there's a possibility. Now, is it a big chance? No. Do I see it happening after what Jimmy Haslam said? No. But desperation creates things. And so if you have 4 quarterbacks or 3 quarterbacks that can't go, but you have a healthy Deshaun Watson on the sideline, you're going to use him. And the fans are going to boo it.
Right. So what week are they predicting possibly he could go? What week could he possibly be ready?
He could possibly be ready, let's see, after, I want to say game 6 or 7, something of that nature.
You're right. Yep, I think you're right.
6 or 7. Okay. He could be available. Okay. Here's another scenario, guys. If the Browns wanted to trade Deshaun Watson, how do you trade him? People have to see that he's healthy. People have to see that he can still throw the football and move around. So let's say the Browns are out of it. You wouldn't throw him out there for trade value? Yeah, you would. Yeah. Okay. So once again, we cannot forget about the Browns being the Browns. I want to let y'all know I'm on here on our TikTok simulcast. I got a couple Philadelphia Eagle fans on here. Real quick, yeah.
Here they come. Here they come. The tush push crew. Here they come.
Tush push.
So
tush push crew.
They're talking about their Eagles. So give me you guys' opinion on the Eagles this year. What do you think about them? Super Bowl champs.
I think the Eagles are always going to be tough, man, because I think everything starts in the trenches, and they're one of the best teams in the NFL in terms of their offensive line. Obviously, they've lost some pieces to their offensive line, but they're still pretty effective. So, the key to good teams, it's not, the trenches are not sexy. Everybody talks about the quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and very rarely do people pay attention to the offensive line and the defensive line and how those guys work. As long as the Philadelphia Eagles are strong in those 2 areas, they are going to be a team that all the NFL needs to be concerned with. Along with that, they've got a triple threat, a quarterback that can make plays. And I know a lot of people talk about their head coach, but they are extremely well coached. So I think the Philadelphia Eagles have a great chance. Not a good chance. I think they have a great chance to repeat this year. Whether or not they'll do it or not, I don't know. But I think they have a great chance to repeat. And I think they're going to be heard from this year for sure.
They're definitely going to be in the mix. They're definitely going to be in the mix. I don't expect them to, run it back and win the Super Bowl again. But at the end of the day, they are the champs. And, you're going to have to go through them and beat them. Now, this team that's 2 hours north of where I am in Washington, they say, hey, don't forget about us.
Right.
Don't forget about us because we're going to be right there. We're going to be right there. And, the Cowboys are the Cowboys. But when it comes down to playing in the division, no matter, whether you're superb or inferior, you're going to give that team a fight. So, again, Philly's going to be there at the end of the day. I don't look at them as repeating. However, again, they are the champs, so give them their respect. Give them their respect.
Now, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Ric Flair said it. To be the man, you got to beat the man.
You got to beat the man.
So for me, the Philadelphia Eagles right now, they are the man. All right, but you got an up and coming young group in them Washington Commanders. Okay, so I'm not selling them short. I think the quarterback Daniels is this year he gonna step up.
Franchise.
You know what I mean? But you also have to look at it as, like I said, Philadelphia, they are the reigning defending world champions. And so until you knock them off, they have to be the prohibitive favorites. Okay, the only one in the AFC to me that's capable of coming at the Philadelphia Eagles is that Kansas City Chiefs team. Okay, but over there in the NFC, you cannot knock out the Washington Commanders. You can't discount the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, now with George Pickens, you can't discount the Cowboys. They're gonna always be in the mix. But yes, until you knock the champions off, they are the champions. So great. Hey, for my Philadelphia fans, great question. Great question.
Fantastic question. Before we move off the Deshaun Watson thing, you asked about the PUP list. Here's how the PUP list works. Like, you can be on the PUP list during the training camp or during the preseason, and you can get off that thing at any time. Once you go into the regular season, it's a minimum 4 games. And then after that 4 games, they reevaluate you. And if you need to go on again, it's another 4 games. So for Deshaun Watson to even have a chance, he is going to have to be physically ready after the 4 games, because I'm assuming they're going to put him on the PUP list to start the season. So after those 4 games, he's going to have to be ready where they don't even consider putting him on a second time. In my opinion, Hot Rod, I totally agree with you. I expect the unexpected when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. But I just don't see a scenario unless things just worst case scenario, man, just fall apart for the Cleveland Browns in that quarterback room. I think Baker Mayfield has a better chance to play for the Cleveland Browns before Deshaun Watson, man. I think inevitably the Browns are going to have to eat some of that contract to get rid of him. And that is unfortunate, but I do think that's how it's going to play out. Go ahead, T.
Yeah. And let me add one more thing. I wish we could hear from him. What is his motivation? Does he want to come back? What is he saying? Again, you don't hear anything from him, which is, does he still want to play football? Okay. Is his heart still in it? Does he want to say, hey, you know what? I know I haven't measured up to expectations, but guys, fans, who love me and who hate me, I'm in this weight room right now. I'm getting ready. So just stand by. Right. But you don't even hear that from him. So, man, it's kind of hard to battle for him. It's kind of hard to stick up for him.
I know.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Man, there's always at the start of training camp, I cringe every year, man. I'm like, I hope it's not one of my players. I'm hoping for the Vikings, Justin Jefferson doesn't go down and what have you. There's always that injury during the first week of training camp that makes you raise your eyebrow a little bit. It happened this week with Justin Fields. They had to cart him off the field. Is this a real big concern for the Jets? Obviously, the injury is not super serious, but is it a concern for the Jets having their number one guy already not be 100% in training camp?
No doubt it is. And thank God it isn't, anything serious. Because, again, like you say, you cringe when you see that happening. Again, I watched preseason and exhibition football out the corner of my eye because after every play, I want everybody to get up healthy, So, yes, it is a concern. It is a concern. Thank God it wasn't, that serious, So going forward, they just have to be careful with him, okay? Because if he goes down, who do they have? They're really in trouble, Really in trouble. What do you say, Rob?
So, I'm going to say this. Here we go. No, it's not a serious injury, okay? But just like you just said, T, who is Justin Fields' backup? We don't know. We have no idea, okay?
Is it Tyrod Taylor?
I don't know. I thought Tyrod might have been in Miami, but I'm not sure.
Okay, you might be right.
Okay, I got to check that out. But the thing is this. Once again, the Jets are watching the quarterback battle in Cleveland. Now, will they bring Joe Flacco back? No. They've been there, done that. But they're hoping that Joe Flacco wins the job in Cleveland. And you can see the Jets reach out to the Browns for Kenny Pickett. You'll see it. Because Kenny Pickett, to me, number one, he's not a starting quarterback, but he is a quality backup. And Justin Fields has had a history, even at Ohio State, of having some knee issues. Okay, that has put him down for a minute. Okay, I think he got a bad rap in Chicago. I really do. I think Chicago was awful. Okay, the Bears were terrible. All right, and I'm still surprised that when he played for Pittsburgh, he actually had I think a 4-2 record before they snatched him up and put old man Wilson back there. Okay. So I'm cheering for him because I think he can do some quality things. He's got Garrett Wilson there with the Jets, and I think some quality things can happen. However, we know this is the NFL and the injuries happen. So don't be surprised if the Jets are searching for a quality backup, and don't be surprised that they're looking at that quarterback battle in Cleveland. They're looking at Kenny Pickett, and they're also looking at Dillon Gabriel. Don't be surprised, okay? But as of right now, I think Justin Fields will recover. He'll be back. And it's not really.
And Tyrod is in New York.
He is in New York,
and he is in New York with the Jets.
Good.
Yeah, my whole thing with Justin Fields. Obviously, I'm not a Jets fan, far from it, but I am a Justin Fields fan from the Ohio State University.
Ohio State University.
So I want to see the brother succeed. He seems to be finally in a pretty good situation. So I believe his injury was a dislocated toe, and I'm concerned about that because I'm not sure of what foot it is, but as a quarterback, either way, that takes away some of your foundation. It takes away.
Yeah, toe is important.
Absolutely.
Ask Darius Garland, is your toe important?
Exactly.
Yes, sir. It takes away a lot of your velocity on the ball. Justin Fields, one of his best attributes is being able to scramble, get out of the pocket. Now he's got to deal with that toe. So, this is a crucial time for him in terms of the evaluation process. Like, I don't think he's being threatened to be moved out of his QB1 spot, but you want to be able to put your best foot forward, no pun intended, to be able to show the coaches that, hey, I'm QB1. So that's the only really concern that I have about Justin Fields going forward with that toe injury. So I hope it gets better. I want to see him succeed. Now, hey, I'm going to fly you guys all the way up here to Minnesota, and I want to talk about my Minnesota Vikings and J.J. McCarthy. Now, listen, man, I'm not going to get too hot, but everything that is coming out of training camp, and again, they haven't even put on pads. Like, they're putting pads on tomorrow. But they've been doing a lot of 7-on-7 stuff, a lot of 11-on-11 stuff.
Right.
And so that's the only thing right now that I can evaluate. But J.J. McCarthy looks pretty good, man. J.J. McCarthy looks pretty good.
Yeah. And I watch your reels during the week, and I see the excitement in your eyes, and I hear the excitement in your voice. Yeah. I watch you every day. I see you every day. You all have a very favorable schedule. Early on, have a favorable schedule. How would I put it? You don't, like you said, you're not expecting him to throw a lot during the game. Just kind of be a game manager, run the ball, throw when necessary. You're depending on your O-line to protect him. They're talking about Green Bay being the number one team in your division. I don't know if I quite agree. I'm sure you don't, So I see you guys right there. So if healthy, with a favorable schedule right out the gate, J.J. McCarthy, come out and, get into the swing of things, regain confidence. Again, I give him, all the, I'm backing him because the kid played in the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. In the Big Ten, you're going up against the best athletes outside of the SEC conference. So, again, I see nothing but, a bright future ahead. People want to keep saying, oh, don't forget about Detroit. Don't forget about Detroit. Detroit has lost two of its coordinators. I don't expect Detroit to be, the same Detroit that we've seen the past couple of years, because their head coach, he will lose it for them. He kind of reminds me of that coach that they had in, with San Diego, with the Chargers, with the LA Chargers. The coach kills it for him. I kind of see Detroit's coach doing the same thing. So I see nothing but bright things, ahead for your Vikings until y'all play us in Week 5 in the Browns, and we're gonna have to get you, L Train. But outside of that, yeah, we're gonna get you. But outside of that, yeah, hey, you have something to be excited about, man. You do.
So I think the Minnesota Vikings has done a fabulous job in terms of rebuilding while getting better. Spending money on the defense, spending money on their offensive line. But we also know that the key to the Vikings' success is going to be the progression of J.J. McCarthy. Okay. And so I believe that they will put an offense around him to suit his skill package. And J.J. McCarthy, he can throw the ball intermediate, medium, but he can run with it as well. So they're going to protect him. He has, I think this year, J.J. McCarthy has to be a game manager. I'm not going to put that on him right now to where he has to win games. He's not at that level yet. But to be a quality game manager, I think J.J. McCarthy can do that. I really do. And so I see the Vikings doing really, really well this season up until they run into that juggernaut in London called the Cleveland Browns. I'm just saying.
Cleveland Browns. That's right. That's right. That's right.
One of my concerns is, news came out of camp, this week about Justin Jefferson, his hamstring. He has had some hamstring problems before. I think it's a great time for him to have an injury if he was going to have an injury, because he wasn't going to see a lot of time in the preseason games anyway, if any.
I wouldn't play him at all. I wouldn't play him at all.
So he's going to have that time. But the one thing that I'm kind of concerned about is just him building that chemistry with J.J. McCarthy. I think early on, people are talking about the great chemistry between J.J. and T.J. Hawkinson and J.J. and Jordan Addison. Like, they're just lighting it up, and he's missing. He didn't get that time last year with Justin Jefferson. And so now this training camp was going to be crucial. So I'm really concerned about that. I got a football question for you, Rod, because you've coached a game. I've never coached a game of football. And I think T brought up a good point when it comes to the Detroit Lions losing both of their coordinators, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. I've heard across the board, some people think, well, that's not a big deal. It's the system. It's the system.
Yes, it is.
I think it's a big deal. I remember this past season where I had the flu. I couldn't coach one of my games, so my assistant coach had to take over. Now, the system remained the same, but the way he called plays was a lot different than me.
Right.
And he did a great job.
The way it was executed.
He did a great job, but you could see the difference just in terms of the game. Is it a big deal? I mean, you coach the game. Losing a coordinator, how big of a deal is that? How is it not a big deal?
So losing the coordinator, it depends on, to me, the head coach, because the head coach is the one that brings the culture. Okay, he's the one that sets the tone. If you get away from Detroit, let's go to Pittsburgh. What's been the constant in Pittsburgh? It's been Mike Tomlin. And what's been the constant for the Pittsburgh Steelers? The constant for the Pittsburgh Steelers has been tough on defense, okay? Average at best on offense.
Standard.
It's a standard. So Dan Campbell has set the standard in Detroit. Aaron Glenn has gone off, and now he's the new coach of the Jets. And you got coordinators who are gone. But the standard is still the standard, okay? And that is Dan Campbell. So does it matter? Not really, because when these coordinators come in, they've been hired by the head coach. They've been given the system. They've been, the head coach will let them coach their way, but it doesn't come out of the system that head coach has put down. So I don't think it's going to be a big deal, but I also say this. The Detroit Lions may have squandered an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl a year or two ago. Their window is closing really quickly. And so Dan Campbell has got to come around and he's got to get it. They have at least another year, 2 maybe, before they have to start all over again. Okay. I got a quick question here from go ahead. Go ahead.
But Rod, don't those guys sometimes bring in their way of doing things? Even though the standard is the standard, the way we do things, but don't sometimes I bring in kind of my little, my little ways of going about
absolutely. Coaches have different styles. Okay, so if I at one time was an offensive line coach, the offensive line coach that left, I came with my own style. It took the players a moment to adjust to my style. However, I didn't change the standard because the standard had already been set. I took my style and I implemented it within the standard that was set by the head coach. Okay, so what I'm saying is, yeah, coaches can come in. They have their style. You got your rah-rah, sis, boom, bah coaches. You got your hard coaches. You got, they all have different styles. But that standard is set by the head coach. They want you to do you and coach the way you coach and develop the way you develop, but they don't want you to change the standard. Okay? So I got a question. I'm going to send this to you, T. This is from Jonathan. This is off our TikTok Nation. Jonathan, I'm going to let you do it because here's what he said. What about the Washington Commanders?
Okay. And what does he want to know?
Basically, when it comes to, how do you see the Washington Commanders this year? How do you see them?
Hey,
Go ahead.
A much improved team than what you seen last year. Okay, what you saw last year, if healthy, you're going to see a whole lot more out of that team. Okay. Now my concern is, them not re-signing Terry McLaurin, but that's going to get done. Okay, because it's harder than Washington. What he's asking for, I don't see anybody else paying him. But to answer the young man's question, the Commanders are going to be a little bit better than what you saw last year. Again, they are going to the playoffs. I see the only team, in that division, possibly stopping them are the world champion Philadelphia Eagles. But that Washington team, they're here. They're motivated. They're fired up. They're ready to go.
Jonathan, thank you for.
So you're going to see a lot of great football coming out of DC.
Jonathan, thank you for your question. Appreciate that.
A lot of great
Keep
football.
asking your questions, guys.
Yep. Coming from a Browns fan. You're going to see some greatness.
Now, notice how T just omitted my Minnesota Vikings and to talk about the Super Bowl champs. He ain't even worried about my Vikings. That's all right, T. That's all right. Hey, guys, real quick, if you could give me, everybody's talking about the better teams in the league, man, but if you could give me a team right now that nobody's talking about, every year in the NFL, there's always that team that just surprises everybody. If you could give me one team that you think is going to make some noise this year that nobody is really talking about, who would that team be?
Mm-hmm. I got a couple real quick. The Carolina Panthers and the Tennessee Titans, as they call them, the Tennessee Titans. Watch out for them, too. Nobody's talking about them, but they're going to be far better improved, those two teams.
Rob, what do you think, man?
I will piggyback and say the Tennessee Titans. I like what the Titans have done quietly behind the scenes. But this pains me to say this, and I'm going to say it, and I know I'm going to get backlash for it. The Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
They're a team that is going to be sneaky good. They're going to be under the radar, but they're going to be in the mix by the end of the season. They're going to be as much as I'm not a Pittsburgh fan, you gotta give credit to what credit is due. Mike Tomlin has not had a losing season since he's never been under 500 since being the head coach, and they have retooled. Do I want Myles Garrett to knock Rodgers out? Sure.
I do.
But I think they're going to be sleepy good.
Yeah, so listen, all you Pittsburgh Steelers fans that email me every week and type in the comments and all that stuff that all we do is talk about the Cleveland Browns and hate on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Hot Rod, Mr. Rodney Young, just gave...
He's been consistent with that, too.
He just gave you guys a little bit of hope that he thinks you guys are going to be a sneaky good team. So I don't want to hear anything about how we always hating on the Pittsburgh Steelers. My surprise team and team that's flying under the radar, keep an eye, fellas, on the Raiders. Keep an eye on the Raiders. And I'm not talking about Raiders. I don't think there's anybody expecting anything from them. I think they're going to make a little bit of noise. What that looks like, I don't think they're going to go to the Super Bowl. I don't think they're going to make a deep run in the playoffs. But I think they're going to be around. Like, they're going to be annoying. I think they're going to be around. I see that from the Raiders. They're kind of my sleeper team, so that's my team. I'm going to open up the mailbag really quick. I want to get through some of these questions from 3 to Hard Way Nation out there.
All right, let's do it. Mailbag, let's do it.
Tina R. from Worcester, Massachusetts. She said, who will have a better season this year, The Chicago Bears first string offense got benched this week during training camp. Is that true? I hadn't heard about
absolutely factual.
Yeah,
Yes, head coach couldn't stand him. He benched him. He sure
that.
did.
Okay. She said,
because that was the worst offensive team
Yep.
last year in the
Right.
NFL. The Bears,
Yep.
their offense was
right.
terrible.
And
last
they
year.
supposedly have now an offensive guru in Ben Johnson. So it's going to be interesting. Tina asks, who will have a better season, Caleb Williams with the Bears or Drake May with the Patriots? That's a good question, man.
Real good question. Go ahead, Rob. What you say?
I think it will be the Chicago Bears. The reason I believe that is because now you have a new coach who, by him benching that starting group, what is he doing? He is setting a standard. He is developing a standard. He is saying, I'm not letting mediocre football be played here anymore. And so I'm going to put people out here who are going to compete. All right. New England is still building. They're still building the foundation. And I just don't see New England's going to have some tough times now. You don't have Belichick anymore. Tom Brady's not walking through in the building anymore. And so I just think the Chicago Bears will have the better chance because that coach is not playing. He's not playing at all.
Well, Rod, I'm going to go opposite because the Chicago Bears play in the NFC North, the toughest division in football. So it may be a little tougher for him. I'm going to go with that kid in New England, okay? They don't really have high expectations. They don't. But again, I think he may fare a little better just based on where he plays. Now, granted, he's got Miami, a tough Miami team to go up against. He's got Buffalo. The Jets always, play him tough. And then the other competition in the AFC, okay? But again, looking over there where L Train's team is, that's football. That's A1 football. That's SEC football. That's Big Ten football over there, okay? So I'm going to go with the kid in New England. I am. But we'll see.
It is
but that's
a tough one. It
really
kind of all depends on, what she meant in terms of, who will have the better season. Is it statistically? If it's statistically, I look at Caleb Williams because he's going to be up, he's going to be in this tricked up offense, man. And their head coach, like Rod said, man, he ain't playing. He's going to come in and try to make an impression as a head coach. So they're going to come in. Yeah,
his job's
they're
on
going
the
to come
line
in with this tricked up offense. Caleb Williams is going to put up numbers. Now, in terms of wins and losses, I think the Patriots, looking at their total schedule, like their division is no joke either. But their schedule, their total schedule is a little bit easier. The Bears are going to have a tough road to hoe, man, especially once they get inside their division. I think if you're looking at team wins and success, I think Drake May is going to have a better year. If you're talking about stats, Caleb Williams is going to have a better year. Next question, Ashley P. from Madison, Wisconsin, close to me. Absolutely.
Man,
she says, which quarterback will take the biggest leap in 2025? Will it be Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence, or C.J. Stroud?
I'll tell you who it needs to be, Trevor Lawrence down there in Jacksonville, okay? Because, that's who it needs to be. That's who it needs to be. Yeah. So I'll just stick with that. That's who it needs to be. I don't know who it's going to be, but that's who it needs to be because he has underperformed. Okay. He really, really has, it's got to be him, Trevor. Yeah. Stand up, Trevor. Where you at? Where you been? Come out of hiding. Wake up.
Yeah. And now he's got the Heisman Trophy winner there. He's got to be able to show and prove now. He has no choice to be able to show and prove. So I agree. It's got to be Trevor Lawrence. However, a close second.
Got to be him.
I need to see more out of C.J. Stroud. I know he had a rough year last year, but he's got the weapons now. They went and they got him, and hopefully Nick Chubb. If Nick Chubb is healthy in that backfield with that retooled offensive line, he's got to step up. He's got to step up. But I do agree, Trevor Lawrence, this is his make or break year. This is a make or break year for Trevor Lawrence right now.
Yeah,
sure is.
A lot of quarterback questions, man. Omar S. from Brooklyn, New York. Fellas, who's the most overrated quarterback in the NFL in 2025?
Wow. That's a great question.
The most overrated quarterback. I was going to go, and we just talked about him, I was going to go Trevor Lawrence. Like, everybody keeps throwing Trevor Lawrence out there. I would... I don't want to take you guys as thunder, but I would say Trevor Lawrence. And then who's the young man for the Chargers?
Oh yeah, yeah, him. Yeah, that's who it is. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
the big guy. Oh
name's
my goodness, I
escaping
know
me. I
you're
mean,
talking
I'm
about.
zoning
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Same here. Yeah, same
Justin
here.
Herbert. Justin
Same
Herbert.
here.
Yeah,
There you go.
Justin
yeah,
Herbert. Yeah, that's who it is. Yeah, definitely him. Definitely him.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
Justin.
here we go.
There you go.
Now,
hmm 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 Justin Herbert.
this
Yep.
fan base will say, "As soon as he giveth, he taketh away." My most overrated quarterback is Aaron Rodgers.
Oh,
My
Oh,
most
come on,
overrated
Rod.
quarterback. And
Rod.
here's why I'm saying this, guys. Here's why I'm saying this. They're putting too much hype behind Aaron Rodgers. And my thing is, now you're playing in you're playing in one of the toughest divisions in football. All right. Now, I get it, what he did in Green Bay. I get even his last year in New York. Okay. Coming off the Achilles injury. Okay. Do I think that he's going to have a terrible year? I don't think he's going to have a terrible year, but I'm not putting all my eggs into the Aaron Rodgers basket. I'm just not doing that. And to hear all the ESPNs and everybody, they just really Pat McAfee just no. Aaron Rodgers is an aging quarterback. Okay, I'm not comparing him to Joe Flacco, but he's just as old as Joe Flacco. Okay, is he better than Joe? Yeah, I'm not gonna poo-poo him on that.
Yeah.
But I'm done with all the hype for Aaron Rodgers. I'm done with that. So to me, the most overrated quarterback, in my opinion, okay, in mine only, and y'all know I have no problem with the smoke. Bring it. Is Aaron Rodgers. I know you don't agree.
Rod, I just think they just keep him relevant. Yeah, I just think they keep him relevant.
But they hyping him up.
And talk about
him. They hyping him up, T. They hyping him up. I mean, they hyping him up like he is the second coming of Joe Montana. I'm being,
I would say this. They are the Pittsburgh Steelers are putting their eggs all in one basket, but when you have no eggs and when you have a hard time buying eggs, you're gonna value them eggs that you have when you get them. And I think that's the value of Aaron Rodgers to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, is he the Aaron Rodgers from 5 or 6 years ago? Absolutely not. But I actually don't mind the take, Hot Rod, because looking at his last couple of years with the Jets, But
I'm done with the hype train, guys. I want to see.
I think it's just all name recognition with Aaron Rodgers in the past and what he's done and all the other stuff that he does.
So let me get off of Pittsburgh for a little bit because I know Steeler fans like this guy, Coach Young. No, look, I can easily say Russell Wilson with the Giants. I can easily say Russell Wilson. It's like you said, T. It's name recognition. But to me, when you get in between those numbers, you got to show and prove. And he came out of New York. Wasn't a real tough division, but now he's in Pittsburgh where he's got to see Myles Garrett twice a year. Where if the Cincinnati Bengals stop being cheap, he's got to see Hendrickson on the outside. Okay, he's got to see those guys twice a year. Okay, he's got to go to Baltimore and he's got to deal with that Ravens defense. You understand what I'm saying? So he just went into a tough division. So I'm tired of everybody trying to make it seem like Aaron Rodgers then won 7 Super Bowls and he's a first ballot Hall. He's going in the Hall.
Because that ain't the case.
This is not the same Aaron Rodgers. And I would even question, does he still love football? I would question that. Is he playing to get this last year and hopefully maybe win something with the Steelers? Okay, I question his dedication to the game now.
Well, when that ball is snapped, he's going to find out.
So
when that ball is snapped, he's going to find out.
This is what I'm saying. I think overrated is it now. Could Aaron Rodgers go out there and throw for 5,000 yards this year? Yeah, he could. Is he? I just don't think
Anything's possible.
Not in that division. I just don't think so.
I think it's going to have to play out. Like, I think, Rod, you make some really good points. I don't 1,000% agree with where a lot of people think Aaron Rodgers is, because the last time you saw Aaron Rodgers in a Green Bay Packers uniform, he had them in an NFC title game. And then he goes to the Jets and he pops his Achilles. So you really can't evaluate that year. Then he comes back and that organization is just in turmoil. They fire their head coach halfway through the season. So the infrastructure there was not very good. So it's going to be interesting to see outside of, because I really don't put a whole lot of stock in the Jets, man. I could be wrong, but that is one of the most dysfunctional organizations that you could ever. I mean, I put them and the Browns on the same kind of plateau when it comes to stuff that's always going on within the organization. So it's going to be really interesting to see what he does with a little bit more solid infrastructure and Mike Tomlin. Either he's going to be proven to be not washed up, or either it's going to be proven that he is overrated and that he should stop playing football. That's what I'm interested to see this year from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Another question from Lucas G. from Fort Worth, Texas. Says, hey, fellas, love the show. Thanks, Lucas. Who has the NFL's best pass rush? The Ravens, the Cowboys, the 49ers, or the Minnesota Vikings? Ravens, Cowboys, 49ers, Vikings.
That's like wrestling. He wanted a cheap pop. That's why he threw the Minnesota Vikings at the end. You wanted a cheap pop, dude. Come on now.
Hey, man, I just read the questions, all right. What do you think?
I mean, the Ravens just have a solid defense. They don't necessarily go after the quarterback. Dallas, Micah Parsons, he goes after him. I don't know. L-Trains, Vikings, and that, defensive coordinator that loves to blitz and take your head off. Yeah, that guy. Wow. Oh, man.
That's a good question. I mean,
that's a good one.
I'm not a fan of the Cowboys defense, although I'm a fan of Micah Parsons. I'm not a fan of their defense. Minnesota, like I said, they spent a lot of money to retool their team. And I think, and not just L Trains on here, I think Minnesota's going to bring it. I think Minnesota will have the overall better defense in the NFC. They're always in the top 10 in the NFC, and I think they're going to make a leap. They're going to have to, because you have J.J. McCarthy back there, and you've got to kind of like, it's kind of like basketball. You kind of got to take the air out of the football a little bit. Well, the way you do that is you do that when you have a good defense. So if there are some mistakes that JJ makes, that he will make as a young quarterback, you have a defense that can cover up those mistakes in the early part of the season. So I'm calling the Minnesota Vikings. I'm calling it. But yeah, that was a cheap pop, kid. Yeah, you did. Come on. That was a cheap pop.
Okay, I would say the Minnesota Vikings as well, man. When you look at this team, in some publications, they have been rated this year as having the number one front seven in football this year. That's kind of the speculation. But if I'm evaluating the Vikings fairly, the first thing I would say is I trust Brian Flores. And there's always been some pieces over the last couple years. I'm like, man, why is Brian Flores doing that? Why are they bringing this guy in? And it always seems to work out. So my fear is the Minnesota Vikings have blitzed over 50% of the time. I think their last blitz percentage was about 53%, which was the highest in the NFL. Now, with that being said, what you're doing is, and Hot Rod, you know this because you coach football, is that when you blitz that much, you're putting your corners and you're putting your safeties on islands, man-to-man type situations all the time. And I think if you had to look at the weakest part of the Minnesota Vikings defensive unit, the most unproven probably would be the secondary. They brought in Jeff Okudah. They brought in Isaiah Rodgers. They got rid of Cam Bynum, who's one of our top safeties. Last season, they didn't want to pay him. They gave the job to Theo Jackson. Harrison Smith is a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he's getting old. So as much as the Minnesota Vikings like to blitz, as good as their front seven is, it's going to be interesting. They better have a really good pass rush, because their secondary is going to have to do a real good job at stopping those big plays for sure.
Right.
Yeah. Last question from the grab bag. This is from Caleb from Augusta, Georgia. He says, is Garrett Wilson on pace to become a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL?
No doubt. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say he is. Oh, yeah, no doubt.
I'll say he is.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I'm going to put a caveat to it, because y'all know me. I'm different. He'll be a top 5 receiver. He'll be a top tier receiver as soon as he gets out of New York. As soon as he gets out of New York. As soon as he gets out of New York.
Yeah. I can't disagree with you. Wide receiver is one of those positions where you rely on somebody else to get you the football. And so you got to have a quarterback there. And if Justin Fields is injured and you got a carousel of quarterbacks there, man, I'm with you, Hot Rod. I think he's got to find a more stable environment to be that. Yeah,
he'll look good in Washington, I tell you that. Can you see him in Washington?
So,
yeah. Can you see him in Washington?
He's got to have a more stable environment.
So real quick question, T. Would you trade Terry McLaurin for him?
Ooh, good question. Good question, Rod.
Ooh, I sure would. Okay. Yeah, because he's younger. So
okay, because we know that McLaurin has been having some contract issues, some issues there.
Yeah,
and so would the Commanders?
I'd like to have McLaurin in Cleveland.
Say it again.
Right. I'd like to have McLaurin in Cleveland. I'd like to have him with us.
Yeah, and guess what? We're talking about our Browns again, so people in hell want ice water. They don't always get what they want. I'm just saying.
Yeah. But here's the thing, Rod, and I've heard you say this year, if the quarterback situation doesn't work out, next year we get 2 picks in the first round. So next season we may get our quarterback. We just might.
That's a whole nother.
Just might. We might get that Manning. We may get that Manning guy out of Texas.
You know what? I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that. And L Train, let's pivot for a second. Here we go.
Arch Manning. Do it.
I want you guys to understand this when it comes to Arch Manning. All right. Let's understand that the royalty that he's come from the Manning family. This is the same family that when Eli came out, that Archie said he is not going to San Diego. No. He wants to go to, he ended up with the Giants. So Archie came out and said that.
That scares me.
So do you believe that the same family won't say the same thing if Arch is the number 1 draft pick?
You're right,
He's
Rob.
not going to Cleveland.
You're right. They'll say stay in college where you make more money. Right?
That's the leverage that Arch Manning has. Is he a stud? Yes, he is. Okay? But he's got the leverage, and the leverage is I don't have to come out after this year. I can stay for one more year, go after the Heisman, okay, and then come out. So I know what the Browns...
Because this is his first year as a starter, right? Being a full starter, right?
And so, depending on how he plays against the Buckeyes, his stock will go up, okay? But I'm telling you, Browns fans, Cleveland fans, please do not put y'all eggs in the Arch Manning basket. Don't do it. You're going to be disappointed again. Don't do it. And I'm not looking forward to it. That's why I want Shedeur to take control of this quarterback thing.
I got you, Rob.
Because he can be that next franchise quarterback, and then the Browns can take those number 1 picks and can fill out the roster to win instead of having to chase after a quarterback. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to get that out because I know I've heard it, and I've heard a lot of fans talk about it. We'll just tank for Manning. That don't guarantee that he gonna come here.
I'm glad that segue opened up for you to say that, Rod. I'm glad that I'm glad we segued
let me ask
you
that. Let me ask you this, because I think a lot of people use that term stud when it comes to Arch Manning, and I get it. I think the kid is really talented, but is he him? Like, how good is he? Like, what does stud mean? Because keep in mind, here's the caveat. Keep in mind, he sat behind Quinn Ewers, who was a 7th round pick for a couple of years. Like, these coaches are getting paid millions of dollars to make decisions. And how did Quinn Ewers continuously beat this young man out? So how good is Arch Manning, man?
Perfect argument, L Train. And we're going to see this year, starting out with that first game in the Horseshoe, we're really, really going to see if this kid is the next coming, as they're talking about him, okay? I love it. I love seeing him run. He can run. He's got a strong arm. He can take a hit. Again, this is going to be his first year starting, so we shall see. But the way they're painting it out there to be, he is the next coming. They already saying he's a made man, and Rod is right on point. Depending on who's going to get that number 1 draft pick next year, the Mannings, the elder Mannings will say whether he'll stay or, come into the league. Because, again, he's making more money at Texas than he will under a rookie contract. So, I think the kid is good, L Train, but we're really going to see because he's starting this year. We're really going to see. I think he's good.
Put it like this. The reason Arch Manning sat behind Quinn Ewers wasn't Arch Manning's call.
Okay.
And it's not that Quinn Ewers was better. Quinn Ewers was older and had more experience. That was a Steve Sarkisian call. Sarkisian.
That's what I wanted you to say. That's what I wanted you to say.
Steve Sarkisian sat behind and rolled Quinn Ewers. Because remember, Ewers was a Buckeye quarterback.
That's
and
right.
then he left and then went to Texas. So Sarkisian was actually offensive coordinator with the Buckeyes, and then he left. Okay, so Sarkisian, that was a Sarkisian call. That was his guy. Okay, because he knew he had Arch back there, but he heard the rumblings. That's why he would put Arch in certain packages where he ran the read option. Okay, just to get him in there, on 4th and 1s and things of that nature. Okay, that wasn't Arch Manning's call. Arch can play. And I will go as far as saying is that Arch will end up being, barring any injury, Arch will end up being better than Eli and Peyton. I think he's going to end up being better than both.
That's a big statement, man. That's a big statement.
I really do. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a real big statement, Rod. I ain't gonna say that, but that's a big statement.
See it.
It's a big statement.
I see it in the kid. The kid has the body type. He has the arm. He has the intelligence because he's leaning on his uncles. Okay, and then
they said his dad was better than
Cooper
Eli
Manning,
and Peyton. So they
Cooper
said that about his
Manning
father. They said about his father
was better
he was
than
great.
Archie
he was
and
something.
Eli.
He was something.
And Archie says it. Peyton says it. And Eli says it. Cooper Manning, if he would not have hurt himself, if he would have had a neck injury, Cooper Manning would have been in the NFL as a wide receiver. Okay. So Peyton was throwing to Cooper. All right. But Cooper got injured, so he couldn't play football anymore. So that's what I'm saying. The athletic genes is there. All right. So I'm not buying that Manning to Cleveland stuff.
Yeah. Well, here's my next question, fellas. And I'm interested to hear the responses after I ask this question. I think T brought up a very valid point and a very good point that if he is legitimately the number one pick and there is a certain team that's sitting there that the Mannings do not want to play for, they're going to get involved like they have done in the past. My question to you guys is, will they face the same venom that Dillon did when he talked about Shedeur early and who he wasn't going to play for?
You know that answer. I don't even know why you asked that. You know that answer.
I'm gonna put it out there.
Yeah, you know that.
That's gonna take us into a whole different direction. You know for a fact that if the Manning camp came out and said that Arch ain't playing for nobody but such and such, they ain't gonna drop in the draft. Right. They are absolutely not. They're the Kings. They're the Manning family. Archie, Hall of Famer, Peyton, Hall of Famer, Eli, Hall of Famer. But then here come and so I'm not going to get into that because that's going to turn into a socio-economic issue, and I'm not going to do that. But we all know sitting here on this panel that if the Manning family came out and did the same thing that Coach Prime did, that there would not be the same backlash that Coach Prime got. We know that.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. Obviously he would, if the Cleveland Browns are there, so to speak, and they didn't want to play for the Cleveland Browns, obviously he would drop out of that spot. But I definitely don't see a situation where if the Manning family came out publicly and said, look, we're not working out for this team, we're not going to play for this team, I just don't see a scenario where Arch would fall to the 5th round or anything like that. So I would that's another topic for another show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Another show.
We've got a new segment that I want to bring out here. It's called We got the captain putting people in his boot camp, and for the hard ways fans out there, man, we've got a lot of knuckleheads out there. We got a lot of athletes that don't make great decisions at time, and they need a little bit of boot camp. They need a little bit of rehab to get their life back on the right path. And no better person to put them on the right path than the captain. Putting them in boot camp. Mr. Terrence Austin, T.
That's right.
Hey, man, who do you got in your boot camp?
All right. Okay. One of them is going to be for off the field stuff, and the other two are going to be for on the field stuff, okay? On the field stuff. Keep it on the field. And, again, we're a national sports show, but for this segment, for my first three, they're all going to be Cleveland guys, okay? One football player and two baseball players, okay? So the first one is real easy, okay? Quinshawn Junkins. Training camp started last week, and guess what? You're not there, okay? And where you should be, you're not there. So you need to be somewhere, for right now, getting your emotions in order, learning some emotional regulation, some pro-social skills, anger management, because again, you should be on the field with your team, getting ready for the NFL season, okay? But, for whatever other reason, you're not being able to handle your emotions, hey, I'm sending your behind to boot camp, okay? So get him on in there.
Junkins,
Second guy, okay?
Quinshawn
Junkins. Drop and give me 10. There you go. For actions unbecoming off the field. Second person is Carlos Santana, okay? First baseman for my Cleveland Guardians. And I love Carlos, okay? But it's time for him to drop and give us 10, okay? Plays good defense at first base, but I tell you, I watched them yesterday. They were in a
doubleheader.
3-3 tie, I believe, in the 10th inning, against the Kansas City Royals. Bases loaded, 1 out, and what does he do? He strikes out. Okay? Every time I see him with runners in scoring position, man, he blows it, okay? And I love you, Carlos, but hey, get his tail to boot camp too, okay? Take him there, get him there with a bat in his hand and do some BP, okay? Because again, all we needed you to do is put the ball in play, and what do? You strike out.
Give me
Carlos
10,
said, get him out of here.
You in boot
camp. Drop and give me 10. Give me 10. And last but not least, Emmanuel Clase, our closer, okay? And when he comes out, my heart just starts pounding, okay? He starts pounding. And the thing about it, last season, he was the best closer in baseball. And then just kind of talk trash, this and that, and is caught up with his behind this season, okay? So again, when he comes up, his ERA is 3.23, and when he comes in, my heart is just pounding. If I was a cigarette smoker, I'd be chain smoking when he comes in at the end of the game, okay? I'd be chain smoking. So Emmanuel Clase, drop and give me 10 with those other two knuckleheads. Wow. Get your act together. Yeah, drop and give me 10. So it has to be those three, okay?
Camp,
so that's it.
Rod. What do you think about
boot camp?
Hey, man, that's what I'm saying. Drop and give me 10, Maggot. You got to get it done, man. You got to get this stuff done. Okay, Carlos Santana, you got to get it done. Quinshawn Junkins, you got to be smarter. You got to be better. I get it. I understand.
Got to be smart.
And you
need to be on the field right now.
Emmanuel Clase gives me Jose Mesa vibes. He scares me. I agree. He scares me every time he comes out. Okay, he does. So, no, I agree. Drop and give me 10. Do it.
Hey, man, great.
Drop and give me 10. There you go.
Camp,
so those
man.
three, L-Train. Those three
segments, man, because you guys have great insight. I can't wait for Hot Rod's 2-a-days. We gonna do that next week.
2-a-days.
Can't wait to hear what he has. Oh man.
Watch out, Steeler fans. Watch out.
Now we got our favorite segment, man. People have been just great feedback. Start one, bench one, cut run, erase one. Hot Rod last week, man. Oh my God. Gave us one of the toughest weeks that we've had in this. Toughest weeks we've had.
Yeah,
I thought about that all week. I was like, okay, Hot Rod came with it. He came with it last week. I'm interested to see what T has this week. Start one, bench one, cut
Get
one,
your pen and paper ready. That's right. Start one, bench one, cut one, erase one, okay? This week's theme is going to be Best National Anthem or Patriotic Song Sung during a major sporting event. Sporting event, okay? All right. Okay, so first up, Marvin Gaye, National Anthem at the NBA All-Star Game in 1983. The late, great Marvin Gaye, All-Star Game 1983. Second one is the late, great Whitney Houston in 1991 when she sang the national anthem. The late,
man, I'm going to have to step my
Whitney
game up
Houston.
with you and Rod, man. I'm going to have to step my game up.
Third is the late, great Ray Charles when he sang America the Beautiful in 2001 in Game 2 of the World Series. Game 2 of the World Series in 2001. The late, great Ray Charles. And last but not least, Miss Jennifer Hudson, who sang the national anthem at the Super Bowl in 2009. Okay? So again, you got Marvin Gaye, Whitney Houston, Ray Charles, and Jennifer Hudson. Start one, bench one, cut one, erase one. All right. So let's go, fellas. I got you.
You want to go first, Rod? Or you want
got y'all this week.
Yeah, I'm going to go. Hey, TikTok Nation. Hey, y'all hear it. Start one, bench one, cut one, and erase one. All right. We got Marvin Gaye, Whitney Houston, Ray Charles, and Jennifer Hudson. Put in the chat how you would do it. But I already got it. They know me. They know how I get down.
Can I say one thing?
So,
hey, Hot Rod, before you get started, can I say one thing? Listen, man, the key to this is erase one. When you put someone in that erase category, that means they never existed. So for me, that's the hardest part about this thing. So for TikTok Nation, when you think about it, that erase means this person never existed, never made any songs, never performed. Think about it that way. Okay, go ahead, Rod.
All right. So here I go. So I'm starting Whitney Houston. Okay. That's the first time I ever saw a Super Bowl to be sung like that at the Super Bowl, and I almost cried. I said almost. Okay. I'm gonna bench
okay if you did.
Ray Charles. Listen, man. That just go back and listen to it yourself. I am going to cut Marvin Gaye. All right. And I'm going to erase Jennifer Houston.
Jennifer Hudson.
Hudson, I'm sorry.
Jennifer Hudson.
So I'm going to start Whitney Houston. I'm going to bench Ray Charles. I'm going to cut Marvin Gaye, and I'm going to erase Jennifer Hudson. I got people on TikTok like, no, coach.
Okay.
Hey, I am, and this doesn't surprise me. All right, when it comes to this category, I am going to 100% agree with Mr. Rodney Young. I am going to start Whitney Houston, the most iconic national anthem ever. And it's not even close. I am going to bench Mr. Ray Charles. And before I get any pushback on that, just find it on YouTube and just sit and listen to Ray Charles. There is just there's no discrepancy with that. Marvin Gaye, I would cut only because the first two were so good. They were so good. So you gotta cut Marvin Gaye. And not that I am not a fan of Jennifer Hudson. I just don't put her in the category of the other three. And so if I had to erase someone from the annals of history in terms of music and the national anthem, I would have no problem erasing Jennifer Hudson. That's where I am right now. That's mine.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Okay. This was my category. I wasn't too, far from you guys. Lionel, you and I grew up next door to one another, and our parents listened to great R&B music when we were kids. So, again, I respect, your choice, and Rod, too. Rod is a homeboy, and he goes back, and he knows what we grew up on as well. So I respect both of you all's take. Mine was a little different. I'm going to start Marvin Gaye. Okay, I'm going to start Marvin Gaye. Yep. I'm going to start the late, great Marvin Gaye. I'm going to bench Whitney Houston. I'm going to bench Whitney. Okay, the late Whitney Houston. I'm going to cut Ray Charles. And then I'm going to erase Jennifer Hudson just based on the mere fact that, again, she, she hasn't put in the time and the work as those others, okay? So that's how mine came up. And it was something one of you all said last week that made me think of this category. I can't think of what it was, but I said I'm going to get them to on this right now. Yeah, something y'all said. It was probably something Rod said, some crazy Rod said that you put me in the mindset to do that. Man, that was mine. So, wow, okay. That was good. Yeah, and I just want to make note of something. What was it? Back during 2001 in that World Series between the Yankees and the Arizona Diamondbacks, I remember when the Yankees lost Game 7, okay? When they lost Game 7, that was a couple weeks after the towers went down. I was on board the USS Theodore Roosevelt, CVN 71, out of Norfolk, Virginia. We were headed across the pond, headed, over into that region after those towers went down. And I just remember the night that the Yankees lost Game 7, and we were able to watch it crossing the ocean. Willie Randolph, the bench coach of the Yankees, 30 minutes after the game, called the commanding officer of our ship and just wanted to thank us and, just to wish us well and to tell us to be safe.
Wow.
On the night he lost Game 7. He took the time out to call the ship in the middle of the ocean. So that just speaks a lot to who he is as a man. So I just wanted to say that. That kind of came to mind.
So I'm on the TikTok Nation, and they are going in right now. I got Treva Monique said how significant the anthem was. Don't even remember J Hud singing it on her. They just remember on her last name.
Yep.
I got a couple that said no coach when I said what I said. I got Lady T Purdy says I agree with Whitney. Yeah. So TikTok is like, okay,
all
wait
right,
a minute,
TikTok
wait.
Nation.
My Treva Monique said on yours
TikTok.
T over Whitney. She got that in all caps. She said over Whitney. Okay.
Over
Whitney? Okay, good. TikTok Nation, I appreciate y'all.
And I got to step my game. I got to step my game up because Rod came with it last week. T, you came with it this week. I gotta follow that up next week because you guys are bringing it, man. You guys are bringing it. Before we get out of here, we got to do our parting shots. Again, a lot of feedback on this. A lot of people like our insight on this. So let's hit our parting shots, man, and then we'll get out of here.
I'll go, and I'm sure ours may be similar, but we lost 3 people last week, and the one that sticks out to me the most was late great Malcolm Jamal Warner. Talented young man, very talented young man. I was telling Rod, growing up, I was more of a Kadeem Hardison fan. However, I always respected Theo and his presence and, just who he was and how you never heard him mixed up in no dirt or no foolishness or whatever have you. He was a guy that, just kept it clean and was a talented dude. And it just broke my heart last week when I heard, he passed. And, living on the Atlantic coast, as I do here in Virginia, rip currents are no joke. Every time people come into town and I take them down to Virginia Beach, and if that rip current, warning current is up, do not get in the water. Do not get in the water because even the best of swimmers can be taken out. I'm a Navy guy, know how to swim, but even I can't deal with no rip current, okay? So it was just sad to, hear that happening and see that happening. It just lets you know that life is precious. Life is just so precious. So I pray for his family, his family and all those who loved him dearly and all of them that were close to him. He never failed us, on screen, especially on that Cosby show. We were talking about it before we came on, love that show and love who he was as an individual. So I pray nothing, but the best for his family going forward. So that's my parting shot.
Piggyback that, I'm going to go with one of my childhood, watches growing up. Hulk Hogan passed the other day. Real name Terry Bollea. He revolutionized and changed the direction of professional wrestling. I grew up watching professional wrestling, been a professional wrestling buff all my life. And even if you don't know pro wrestling, you knew who Hulk Hogan was. He was iconic. And so he passed away at 71. And so the wrestling community and even the Hollywood community, because he was a movie attraction as well, is mourning his loss. And so we want to send a shout out and condolences to the family of Terry Bollea, aka Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, good one, man. Good one. My parting shot goes out this week to the families. I know people that follow true crime out there, to the family of the 4 students that were killed in Idaho. Brian Kohlberger was a person that was convicted of that crime. He was convicted to 4 consecutive life sentences. And the reason why that hits home for me is because it was college age kids. Obviously, I work on a college campus and I work with college age kids every day. And as a parent, you also have the expectation that when you send your kids off to college, that they are going to be safe and they are going to come back home. Well, these families, they were not afforded that opportunity with their kids. And I just watched the sentencing and I watched the impact statements from the families, and it just hit home, man. I had an opportunity to go to a wedding yesterday. One of my former players got married, and all the players pretty much that I had coached for the past 7 years at Viterbo University was there. A lot of them are moms now. A lot of them have families now. So to see that evolution of a little small 18-year-old, who's wet behind the ears, that's afraid to leave home, now grown into grown women. They've got husbands, they've got families. To be afforded that life is really a blessing. So my parting shot is to the families out there that lost their 3 daughters and their sons in that horrific murder, man. It's just, I just feel my heart goes out to those families for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, fellas, another great show, man. Anytime we end the show on Sunday, man, I'm counting the days until our next show. This thing is growing by leaps and bounds. Please hit that like and subscribe button. It only takes a second right now. If you like the content, just hit that like and subscribe button. We're going to continue to do our thing on 3 the Hard Way. Just keep growing it, man. Any last words you got for the 3 Hard Way Nation out there, fellas?
Y'all brothers have a blessed week and stay cool and stay hydrated.
And
it's
the 3 the Hard Way Nation, love you, always love y'all. Listen, TikTok, stay tuned, because as soon as we get off, we're going to have the afterglow. So I'm going to talk to y'all afterwards. So just stay tuned right there. But yes, 3 the Hard Way Nation, love y'all. Let's get at it. I can't wait to see y'all next week.
Absolutely. We will make sure to see you when we see you. 3 the Hard Way Nation, we are out.
Take care.